Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I ran across a TikTok that I thought I would share, and I have some thoughts about this. So let's just get into it.
Taxes made easy for small business owners. This is done.
First, I love the idea of LLC taxes made easy. We want to make taxes easy too.
He has a business that generates $100,000 in sales, and he ends up with a net profit of $60,000 after expenses. His business is super successful. Yes, now Don is structured as an LLC, which is also known as a limited liability company. But here's...
So far, so good. Yes, successful business, structured as an LLC. We're on the same page so far.
Where it gets weird. The IRS knocks on his door. And they're like, hey, because you generated $60,000 in net profit, you owe us $13,000 in federal tax and also $9,000 in SE tax.
Okay, hold up. I have to stop here because they're assuming that this $60,000 has no standard deduction. Just because you have $60,000 in income does not mean that every dollar of that $60,000 is going to be taxed at 22%. I guess if we're dumping this business income on top of other income, that could be true. But the reality is that if you just have the $60,000 in net profit from a business, you're single, you don't have any other sources of income, you're in the 12% tax bracket, and you've got your standard deduction and you've got the qualified business income deduction. So on this same $60,000 worth of income, you may be paying tax of about $3,500, not $13,000. SE tax about $9,000. Yeah, he's rounding up a bit. I come up with about $8,500. That part, I agree.
And he's like, what the heck is SE tax? Oh, that's called self-employment tax. So as an LLC, you owe Social Security and Medicare on all of your net profits of $60,000. And Don's like, that's super unfair. But he was smart and he said, you know what, I'm hiring a bookkeeper. And that bookkeeper told him to turn his LLC into an S Corp. And when he does that now, he's able to distribute that $60,000 or push it out as a salary, allowing him to save up to $9,000 in tax.
Hold on again. Yes, you can elect for your LLC to be taxed as an S corporation. Valid strategy. When you do that, that $60,000 has to be distributed to you as, like he said, either a distribution or salary. But here's the thing. You're required to distribute reasonable compensation to yourself through payroll. So in this instance where you've got $60,000 worth of profit, depending on your experience in the industry, what you're doing in the business, your reasonable salary might be $60,000. But for the sake of argument, let's give him something. Let's say your reasonable salary is $40,000. Great. You're still going to pay Social Security Medicare tax on that $40,000. So you're not going to save $9,000 in tax merely by making this S election.
Taxes that he would owe right here in that SE tax simply because he's an S Corp, which allows him to reinvest the money back into his business, and yes, he's back on track to making more money. Now there's three things you should do before moving into an S Corp. Number one, you should hire a bookkeeper so they can keep all of your books in order. Number two, hire a tax professional so that they are filing your S Corp taxes the right way. And number three, you need a payroll provider because you have to be on salary if you have an S Corp. But guess what? We do it all here at Jackbooks to be...
Okay. So to circle back to a couple of thoughts through this. Like I said, you don't save $9,000 just by changing to an S Corp in this example. In this example, like we talked about, if you do $40,000 in reasonable compensation, you maybe saved yourself about $2,400 in Social Security Medicare tax. Not $9,000. There's one thing that he's overlooking, two things actually. The first one is qualified business income deduction. When you're taxed by the default, that first option that he showed there, that entire $60,000 is eligible for the qualified business income deduction. It represents about 20% of your business income that you don't have to pay regular income tax on. You're still going to pay that Social Security, Medicare, but you're not going to pay income tax on it. So in that first example, he's overlooking the fact that that QBI deduction is saving you about $1,300. So in that second example, where you're being elected to tax as an S corporation, now only that remaining $20,000, so you had $60,000 in profit, you paid $40,000 of it to yourself as salary, the remaining $20,000 is still eligible for that qualified business deduction, but now that deduction is only saving you about $480 instead of $1,300. So yes, you may have saved $2,400 in Social Security, Medicare, which may shoot yourself in the foot later when you retire. But you knocked down your QBI savings. So now your savings from the strategy are down to about $1,500. And so the other thing that he is overlooking in this is, what did it cost you to do this? It's costing you payroll services. So on average, a payroll service runs about $50 a month at the minimum. We partner with Gusto for that. And then filing that S Corp tax return, he touched on it. You need a tax pro to do that. Generally, tax pros start at $1,500 for an S Corp tax return. So in this case, we got your tax savings to be about $1,500, but you're paying more than that in administration fees. So a lot of tax professionals, I think, over the years have recommended this. They like to inflate their fees, but it's really not benefiting you. We do recommend it sometimes still when you get in sort of non-monetary benefit from it. If it's helpful to you to be on payroll, that may be worth some of that. If it's easier for you to have withholding on a paycheck than to make your estimated payments, those are situations that can help. If you're going for a loan, lenders understand W-2s better than they understand businesses. So there are some situations where it may make sense to do it anyway, but just know that merely taking your LLC and creating that S election to be taxed as an S Corp is not going to save you $9,000 a year. Happy to answer any questions. Let me know if I missed anything, missed any questions, if there's anything you'd like me to touch on next week. Have a fantastic rest of your day.